Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Filio. I have the Matilda Swanson Gallery located in Clarksburg, Ontario. Welcome to In Conversation with. Our guest today is the sweet as can be, Bonnie Gardner. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, Sarah. You can fool some of the people some of the time.
So, Bonnie, can you share with us who is Bonnie Gardner? Where did you grow up? What was your childhood like? What kind of schooling have you done? Anything pertinent that you would like to share with me and all of your fans?
I grew up in Grey County, and we moved around a lot in Grey County. So I don't know if that's what made me an introvert or whether I was just naturally that way. My mom was an introvert, so maybe that's, just hereditary. I used to be ashamed to admit that I lived most of my life in Grey County. I lived in Kitchener for a little bit, in Toronto for a very long time. But the older that I get got, I just realized I was really lucky to grow up here, and the lifestyle suits me. It's not frenetic, and I love nature, and I don't think I would have done well in the city. Um, so yeah, and I've always liked being um, probably on my own. I usually only had one good friend and was friendly with everyone, but always I couldn't handle being in a group of friends. And yeah, have always enjoyed writing, making things. I saw a movie once, and the advice that someone was giving someone is make your life's profession something that you would do even if you didn't get paid for it. And I thought, for me, that is making things. I would make things for someone even if I didn't get paid. Unfortunately, I had to have a job most of my life to um, raise a family. So, but I finally gave up on that and just decided I was going to create.
I can understand what you mean about being embarrassed about where you grew up. And I remember having a tough time myself with being up north and thinking, oh, I don't belong here. This is not, I should have been in the city. And now I'm so grateful that I didn't grow up in the city and actually never went to the city. I mean, it was my plan, but then I moved here and stayed here because I loved it. It was a nice in between from up north to the city. Um, yeah, and I think same with you. I had a few friends, but not I was friendly with everyone, but not the popular person or part of one particular clique.
I
Yeah.
always wanted to be part of like the popular kids.
Yeah.
Actually, at one point I was, and it was like, oh, like I still didn't feel like I belonged, and they weren't
Yeah.
any different than the other people that I knew. It's just someone had labeled them the popular kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing that helped me to come to terms with, where I'm from and to be proud of it is there's a lot of artists that come out of the prairies and like Manitoba, and um you, I had this idea that you had to be from this city or a far away exotic place,
Hmm.
creative, or to have um but to me that's pretty pretentious.
Mm.
There'd be people from France that would come to Canada and think it was exotic. So what the heck?
Yeah. I'm very, very grateful for my upbringing up north. And now I love going back, and it's my first home, and it has a special place, but it's taken me a while to gratitude for it.
Yep.
Um,
When I
yeah.
worked when I worked in the real estate industry, I found a lot of people that were retiring were coming back home. Like they wanted to move from the city or wherever they had been, and they wanted to come home to their hometown. So there is something to be said about home, like where what landscapes formed you and where you grew up.
Mhm.
It's, I think, in your genetics.
Yeah. So do you have siblings? How is you?
I have an older brother who's 13 months older than I, and our first 5 years we lived on a farm, so we were very close then, because we were only 13 months apart. And apparently, we played together quite famously. And then I have a younger brother who I think is 4 years younger than I, and we always thought of him as the little brat, the little tag along, but him and I are pretty close right now too. So 4 years when you get old is not.
So during my conversation with Peter, he mentioned you were the one to say, bring your paintings to a gallery and see what happens. Do you remember that?
I do. I do.
Okay. And thus giving birth to the art god that is Peter John Reid.
Please do not blame me, and please do not jail me for that.
Yeah. So do you regret that decision? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's not my question.
No.
How did your art career begin? Did you offer yourself the same advice?
Um, my art, like my painting, right?
Yeah.
I painted because I just liked doing it, and it was probably the encouragement of Peter and seeing Peter, like nothing holding Peter back, and um, for a while I was one of those people that took all these courses about how to begin, how to begin, how to begin. And then I'd look at Peter and it's just like, this is how you begin. You just go.
Yeah, do it. Just
Yeah,
do
you
it.
just do it. You don't, like I think a course or two is probably good to build up your confidence or to get a coach if you need it. But at some point you just have to begin and go out there and um, just do it and be ready for people to say it's not worth it or not good or not have sales. But if you like doing it, I don't think it really matters. It's nice when you have a sale, but yeah, I just think you have to go out and do it. But Peter has been very supportive.
You're always
Well, at
painting.
first I wrote a lot, right? I was a writer, and then once you have a family, then priorities change, and that really fell by the wayside. And so when I started to, I took Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way, and that was very helpful for me. And I would recommend that book. And right now I'm doing It's Never Too Late by Julia Cameron for people that are retiring. And it just teaches you to put the creativity back on the front burner instead of always putting it on the back burner. And I find when you're raising kids and raising a family that some people are able to do it, they still have their creativity. And for me, having the kids, the way I would create would be through their Halloween costumes, through their birthday parties, through we were in a small town, we always had a float in the parade. So that's where my creative energy went. And I was thinking about having children really taught me how to push forward even when you're exhausted, because you can't just go to bed. I'm tired, we're not having supper tonight. You push through, and I know that's not a good thing all the time. So now there are times when I maybe don't really feel like doing something, but it's like, okay, but I can do this little small step and get that much closer, even though I'm exhausted right now. And that is the one thing that I find having a family and having responsibilities gave me that that energy that to draw on and say I can do a bit more, even though I'm tired. But then I also know you do have to self-care. So.
And you're also a yoga instructor.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. And so a painter, a writer, a yoga instructor. What is your relationship with the three, and do they have an influence on one or the other?
I so writing, I believe I have a very good descriptive quality to my work. Like people will say when they read my work, I can get very descriptive about something. And I think that relates to the painting because I can see things when I paint, colors, I'm aware of what's going on around me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the yoga, I think, teaches me to slow down, to listen to myself. Um, the breath work is very good because I am a worrier. Um, and at times throughout, I mean, I'm not overly affected by this pandemic, but it does worry me. Just to connect with your breath and to breathe deeply, to keep moving so that paralysis doesn't set in, um, is good. And I find it makes me stronger. The yoga,
Mm-hmm.
more flexible. And I've done 200-hour teacher yoga teacher training. And even if I never taught yoga, or even if I never did yoga, what I learned in those courses has benefited me so much personally.
Mm.
Um, I just can't. It was life changing.
Really?
I'm still working on a lot of the things, but I have the tools in my toolbox, and um, yeah, it was life changing for me. And it's funny because I was involved in yoga when I was young, still living at home, and the people that I worked for actually were part of the um, organizers, or can't think of the word, um, down, oh, I can't even think of it, down in, I'll think of it later. But my parents were like, it's a cult, it's a cult, you
Oh,
know? So, yeah, it's a cult. You don't want to get involved with that. And I was still, under their influence. So I was very wary of it. But I often think, oh my God, if I had been more involved then, how different my life would have been.
mm,
Um, but I just wasn't ready for it.
mm-hmm.
Um,
But you found it eventually. It still came back to you,
it still came back to me. So
which is great. Oftentimes those opportunities don't come back to find us.
yeah,
Um,
I guess it's always, that's where I'm going to be. But it would have been a totally different life.
Interesting.
Like I
Interesting.
probably like would have got to my destination a lot sooner, like
Right.
30 sooner. Um,
Right. Interesting. Interesting.
yeah.
So do you do all three are actively at the same time, or do you go through bouts of just painting or bouts of just yoga, bouts of just writing? Do you,
Yeah, I'm usually doing all the time because I was teaching. Right now I'm doing like a 30-day challenge with myself. So I may not, right now I'm doing at least half an hour of yoga a day.
mm,
Um, but I would say every day, even if I don't do a full session, I would probably do yoga stretches, breathing. I mean, breathing you can do in the bathroom on the toilet, right? You can just stay in there a little longer. Nobody will bother you in there. And writing is probably the thing that's gone to the back burner, but I have joined a writers group again. So
mm,
that novel could be coming. And Peter and I just worked on, I found a children's story that I'd written. So I did the artwork. My drawing skills aren't the best, but I painted cardboard and I cut out the figures so that I could move like the arms and stuff around without drawing it, and then took different pictures. So that was the illustrations for the book. So yeah.
I should get you to illustrate my children's book. It's about a dancer.
Oh, I could do the cardboard cutouts, and then you
Yeah.
just move arms and legs and
Yeah, I wrote it years ago out of the blue, and I just found it the other day, and I thought, oh wow, there's a whole series here, and I don't recall even writing it, but it's pretty good.
well, when I found this manuscript, I didn't think it was mine because I thought, like, I don't want to sound conceited,
Yeah.
but it was, oh, this is a really good children's story. This
Yeah.
is so cool. Like, is this mine? Because sometimes when you go to a writer's retreat, they give you handouts of people's stuff. And then when I
Oh.
got reading it, it's like, no, I had made changes, like where like different words. I'm thinking, no, this is, I hope it's mine.
Yeah, mine was in my handwriting, so that was
Oh,
even
okay, so
stranger
you're
because I thought,
good.
oh, this is my handwriting, but I have zero recollection of this. And I kept reading. I thought, oh, this is really good.
I know, isn't that cool to go back and find written stuff and
Yeah.
thinking, wow, I was prophetic. Like, what is
Yeah.
this?
What happened to me? That's what I think. Like, what happened to me? Where did this
How
all
many
go?
Baileys and vodka did I
Yeah.
have to come to that revelation? And I guess writing is a long process. So painting, not quite so much, but writing is a long process. So
Mhm.
um, I think
Yeah.
that's the deterrent is it's a long process, and then to get it out there. Like if you ever go to a bookstore and see how many books there are there, you know. Um,
Yep. So you experienced an unfortunate family tragedy, and I think it's coming up on a year, right? The loss of your mom.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How
Tuesday.
much how much time went by before you picked up a pen or a paintbrush after that, or and did you notice a shift in your work?
Um, I don't think I had a writer's block. I mean, I could start crying right now about it.
Yeah.
And then when I think about losing my dad, that's, then you become an orphan, which, and I just, I haven't had a lot of grief in my family as far as sickness or death.
Mhm.
So it really shocked me that grief can last this long. I think it's going to last forever.
Mhm.
Um, so it was a real learning curve for me, and of course made me more sympathetic to people that have lost people in their lives, because you don't know until you actually go through it. And I used to say to people, I can't imagine how you feel, because you can't, and everybody does handle it differently. um, but I don't think I got a writer's block or a painting block. I do have, it's funny, I have two, um, they're Mark Knopfler. I think I said the wrong name when we did the group discussion. Um, CDs that I listen to quite a lot now when I am painting, and they were my mom's. So, and I asked her to come and talk to me. Like my kids have had like sort of visits from her, and the only thing I got was this rash on my face for the last year, but it's finally cleared up. And I kept saying I kept saying, "Are you mad at me? Like what? Like are you mad? Like tell me what's wrong." And so I would really like her to come and visit, but I really feel that she really hasn't. But I'm open to it. I'm like open, like you know,
Mm,
off the count. So.
yeah. When Sue's dad passed away, her her first painting after he passed, it was you could you could sense what she was feeling in the painting, and it was just so dark and so conflicted and just even angry, and just it's always interesting how a lot of people, I didn't believe in it, where an artist, you paint what you feel and you can see it in the painting, and until it happened to me. I had lost a childhood friend in a car accident a few years ago, and it was shocking, and he's young, and it's not right, and I had a commission to paint, and I really didn't want to do it, wasn't feeling like it, and I did it anyway, and I could see the difference in my own painting, how the emotion, the hurt, the sadness, and I had to paint over it and fix it to supposed to be happy and joyful, and it was quite miserable. Um, Yeah, and so I didn't really believe in that until it happened to me, of course, and so
I
I was
I
just curious, and I because I've seen other artists and they've lost people, and I've seen a change in their work, and it's generally a struggle, and then out of that struggle they come up with, like, they have a breakthrough moment where it's similar to what they were painting before, but there's so much more life, and it's just such an evolution, and just really beautiful, exceptional work after that.
I think if I was writing more at the time, I think there would be a definite change in my writing. I just because of the gamut of feelings. I think if I had, if I had been journaling every day or was working on something that I was writing, I think that's where you would notice it in my
Mm.
expression more. But I'd like to share this. Like I struggle sometimes with being down, and I am really fortunate that I have the inner resources to bring myself up because I know some people don't, and I really feel for them. And I was telling this older couple once, like, oh, like I just found it so hard to get out of bed this morning.
Yeah.
And this guy said to me, and I should probably give him credit because he saved me so many times, Bill McMeekin. He says, "What do you mean? You just throw back the covers and get up?" And if I could share that with people, there have been mornings where I'm laying in bed and thinking, I don't want to get up. And then I just think of Bill McMeekin saying, "Yeah, just throw back the covers and get up." And I'm grateful that I am able to do that. I know some people cannot go there, but I would suggest that's my little tidbit to share with people. Just try it. Just throw back the covers and get up and see what happens.
Mm.
And then if you want to go back to bed, it's not working, go ahead.
I think I've done that before. I'm in bed and I don't want to get out, don't want to get out. And I literally throw the covers
Yep.
off. And okay, I'm getting out, I'm
Yep.
getting out. And I make the motion of getting out. And what I do is I just, no, grab the covers, getting back in.
I do it. But yeah, it's just that big leap, right? Okay, I'm going to leap out no matter what the day is going to throw at me. I can always come back.
Yeah, hop back into bed. So what is it like being married to Peter John Reed? That's A.
You can edit this.
Yeah. And B, you've recently taken on a more active role in assisting in managing Peter and his art career. I'm wondering, um, have you learned anything new about the art world since taking on this new responsibility?
Oh, well, do I want to still remain married? This is the only person that I have physical contact with right now. Um, so what can I say? Peter taught me to put creating to the forefront. Like it's okay to just go up and go do it. The dishes don't have to be done. The house doesn't have to be clean. And I thought, well, crap, if he can do it, I'm going to do it. Like, so often our house is in disarray.
Well, who needs to clean? Who needs a clean house when you have beautiful artwork everywhere?
Look at the walls. Just look at the walls.
Yeah.
So I think Peter taught me that you just make it a priority. That in the artist way, and because there's always going to be housework and organization to be done, and so that part's good. So as part managing Peter. Peter is a very strong force to be reckoned with, and I have a stubborn streak too. So we've gone through our challenges, we've made it through, and I think we're getting better and better at, not talking at each other for a week because we're both mad. We tend to resolve our differences faster. Um,
It's not easy.
so
That's why I'm
Peter,
asking you. It's not an easy feat,
it's
especially when
not,
you are married or related. It seems to be even more
and we're
difficult.
both creative, right? We've
Yes.
both got our ideas of, and Peter's a stronger force than I am. I think he would disagree that, you know, that I'm a strong force. However, I'm really grateful for Peter to give me the opportunity to have quit my day job. I was getting really frustrated because I've never made a lot of money and I've been never had a pension plan. So trying to squirrel away some money for retirement, and you know, I'd get a little bit set aside, and then the car would break down, and I just thought it's never going to happen. Like I'm never going to be able to quit my day job.
And you were there for quite some time, weren't you?
Yeah, and then and but I always thought, well, I'm going to live to be an older person. My grandfather was 98 when he passed away. My grandmother's in their late 80s, and then my mom had a heart attack when she was 68, and I'm like, um, she survived, but I thought, well, I might not live to be an old person. And so anyway, I thought about that for quite a bit, and it shifted some, you know, ideas about that I'm going to be, you know, Betty White. And
Mm, I could see that.
so, yeah,
The
and
next Betty White,
yeah,
definitely.
Maud Lewis. I'm going to live in a teeny little house and paint it all. So to be able to quit my job and help Peter, Peter actually is good to work with. He's been amazing. The only thing that I'm totally frustrated with is doing the income tax and the HST. Like that's been difficult, really difficult. I don't mind the day-to-day stuff. He's great, but he just doesn't want to do it. And it's like we all have to do stuff we don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like either hire an accountant to do this because I don't want to do that. And I told him that. I don't mind setting up the classes. I don't mind talking to people, being his PR. I don't mind doing all that. But when it comes down to the finesse of doing the financials,
Hmm.
and he doesn't like it either. So, I mean,
Farm it
and
out.
our accountant
Farm
sure
it out.
hates us.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, keep saying pay someone to do. However, they would still have to call with questions,
Yeah.
and he just didn't want to deal with it. And it's like we
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I
So
know.
other than that, it's been great. I mean, we don't spend a lot of time together. Like he's out in his studio, I'm in mine in the house. I visit family more than he does. So, and then usually in the summer, he's can be away a lot teaching, so I get the house to myself. So I think it's been good. What did he say?
I didn't ask him this question.
Oh, great! Make me look like. No, actually, it's gone better than I thought, except for you know this we just did the income tax, so it was a little.
Yeah. Yeah. So has it inspired you to put that effort into your own work that you're putting into Peter's?
Well,
What would-
financially, I
Right.
can't hire someone to do, and I don't know if I would want to. Like even at one point, Peter said, "Well, let's hire someone to clean the house." I don't. I wouldn't want that. I don't know if it makes me feel like I'm lazy, but um, no, it's not. I would hire a chef. I would have someone come in and cook
Yeah.
before I'd have someone come in and clean. Um, I think I'm doing pretty good getting my stuff out there. I mean, this time right now, if I really wanted to write a novel, I should be doing it now, but I don't know if I really want to invest the time, my time, like spend my time writing a book that might never go anywhere. Um, but I think I get my artwork out a lot, like through the galleries, and I'm probably doing as much for me. I've taught a couple of workshops. I don't think that's really what I want to do. I don't feel I have the expertise. I would love to get together with some girlfriends and just play around. And there again would come down to I love doing it so much. I why would I charge someone to come over and just play around? Because I don't feel I have that expertise that people should pay for. But I feel really good about where my art career is right now. I mean, more sales would always be nice, right? But I, you know, I
Yeah.
often dream of having my own little gallery, but I know that it takes a lot of work to run a gallery, and I don't think I want to run a gallery and do the finances and the income tax and
Yeah,
um,
it sounds, running a gallery sounds very romantic. And
mhm.
and like having a coffee shop, it sounds very romantic, but it's there's so much work, and as a creative person, your own creativity gets put on the back burner.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, I'm 10 years in, and I'm only now starting to make an effort to be creative myself. And that's really almost thanks to this COVID-19 break, where I've been able to make that decision and shift. Um, because you just put yourself on the back burner. And I remember thinking, oh, I should be painting, but the time and effort I'm putting into doing paintings myself, I could be uh you know creating more marketing for the artist. I could be doing something else for the artist, which is what I'm supposed to be doing. So um yeah, and all the accounting.
No,
and
it's just. I
and
mean, I don't mind adding figures up, but when it comes to all the legalese and this and that, like
yeah,
like I think
yeah,
they just.
I love color. I love color. Can't say I love numbers.
Yeah, and I have another friend who had a gallery in Australia, and their lease was up, and they couldn't get another place to rent. And and they had a great thing going. They were doing classes all the time, and the community just loved them from what I could see. And then they couldn't have their space, and she said she didn't realize how much time it was taking from her creating.
Yeah.
And um, she was like, yeah, no, you don't want to have a gallery. And I just like the idea of just having a room with all my paintings hanging up, I think, really. And I can do that at home here. So
Yeah. Yeah, the romance of it is just really lovely.
it's just like, I had my real estate license for a very brief period, and I thought that would be fun, going and seeing all the different houses. And it's not, it's stressful.
Hmm.
It's, you're liable for so much. And I think what I would have enjoyed is being an interior decorator.
Mm.
And there's no reason why I couldn't do that. Or another career that I think I would love to do, and I could if I wanted, is design funky clothes. Like learn how to
Right.
sew, and I know you would be like my number one customer, Sarah, and we can do like prototypes. But I really love different clothes, funky clothes,
Yeah.
asymmetrical, different prints. And I've been toying with that. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not 60, and I thought, well, maybe I'll live to be 80. Maybe I should invest in some sewing lessons. And
Yeah. Yeah, it's something I would absolutely love to do too. And sewing gets me going. There's something about the on the sewing machine.
the finger.
It just, that for me really gets me excited. I don't know why that is, but
My
yeah,
fault with sewing is I won't take the steps. I want the finished product.
right.
So I won't wash the material and, do the weave and weft or make it even
Oh,
and then iron it and cut it out and pin it. I'm like, I don't have to pin it. I'll just judge this. And
right.
then I sew the wrong sides together, and I'm not patient enough, you
Oh,
know, to get to the
interesting.
end.
Yeah, see, I'm not a patient person at all, but everything that you've described is like, oh yeah, I love doing the pins, love the pinning process, I love cutting it out, all of it. I love every single bit of it, and yet I'm not a patient person at all.
Maybe you like that. Okay, now I'm going to do this. Like,
Yeah. it's more of a process
Yeah.
for me. And even how, just putting those pins through the fabric, I love. And figuring out how far in I need to sew it. And yeah, I just love that entire process. Wouldn't, yeah, I don't equate it with patience, so that's interesting. Interesting. Yeah,
I just want the done product. But
yeah.
then, it'll be sewn the wrong side together. And yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of leeway in sewing because I've whipped up costumes and all sorts of weird things. Just I whip it up and just make it up as I go along, and it turns out to be pretty great. I think it's very daunting. And I remember taking sewing class, and it was the first time I had seen a sewing machine, and I was so afraid I started crying because
Really?
I was so intimidated. So intimidated. Oh, I'm not taking this class. I'm looking at the sewing machine, hearing all the rules, everything else, and the process, and I can't do this. And I started crying. And then it turned into one of my things I want to do with my life. So it's interesting how that fear, that intimidation has now turned into such a passion for me. And I think it would be the same thing for you. Once you figure it out, you sit and you listen to the rules, and then you just kind of make it your own.
Yeah. Well, I have a friend who's a seamstress, and I said, "Oh, like, do you want to collaborate and we'll make like some of these for older women, rather than the boring stuff, um, some asymmetrical and like ragged edges." And she goes, "Oh, I couldn't sew like that because for her it's got to be neat
Rules,
and
rules
tidy
of, yeah,
and not ripped." And but I really think there's a market out there for clothing for older women that's not like skin tight and but just something that's funky classy.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So what inspires you to create?
I think, I don't know, walking. I love walking. I really love walking. I love walking around different, like it's not a surprise that I spent that many years in real estate office. I love walking around towns and seeing different houses, gardens. Um, I don't paint a lot of landscapes, but I do like looking at landscapes. I like looking at nature. I
Mhm.
like getting up high in the hill and pretending I'm a goddess and looking over my land. I love wind. I love the wind blowing through grasses. Um, I just, yeah, I guess I think walking inspires me.
Mm,
Creativity,
mhm.
seeing what other people are doing. I think looking at stuff on the internet, not copying, but just filling the well, going to art galleries, like coming over to Matilda Swanson in the dead of winter and seeing all the color, seeing what people are doing, and then thinking, oh, why didn't I think of that?
Mm, right, right. So I always think of you as such a busy person with, between your grandkids, your kids, your dog, Max, Peter, um,
Peter.
Peter, Studio 20, and then finding time for painting, writing, and yoga, and whatever else you do. I don't know how you do it. What is a typical day for Bonnie Gardner? How do you accomplish all these things?
Well, part of it was the lesson I learned from raising a family, like you just push forward. And it's just, I mean, I think before that, I never really reached my potential because I didn't push myself. It's just you go to work and you come home and you watch TV in the evening. And I just think, God, I had so much time. I could have done stuff. So typical day now, right now is I get up and I really like to have movement in the morning. So not bowel movements. Like I'll go for a walk and I find even if that's all I do, if I've gone for a walk, I feel like I've accomplished something. And so this morning I went into the studio and I started to paint. So even if I don't feel like painting, I might wire a painting or paint a background in a painting. Um, Peter and I thought this winter, we never did get around to it, that we would spend one day a week just playing with a different medium. But we did play with the paddle. And yeah, I don't know. I just try to plan out different days. Like I can't say, like Peter would paint every morning. That's when he likes to paint. Like he would rather walk in the afternoon. But yeah, I just sort of list what I'm going to do. So I'm not seeing the kids right now, but I mean, so I wouldn't be painting on a day like that. But usually when I'm with the grandkids, I'm doing something creative, like we're making something or we're going for a nature walk. Yeah, but I mean, I don't make housework and cooking a priority. I mean, I think my favorite meal since we've been in lockdown has been black cherry ice cream and walnuts. I've been known to have grilled cheese for supper or a bowl of cereal, because part of me feels guilty about that. And then the other part of me is, if Peter wants to eat, he can make it too.
Yeah.
Like, and most of the stuff I make, he doesn't want to eat. So like a salad or something or a casserole. So, but I do make a mean lasagna. I did make a lasagna. So I don't know. I don't really have, but my best days are when I get up and I go for a walk, and then I plan things.
Yeah.
From there.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I get up like Peter would say. He gets up and he paints in the studio till noon.
So it sounds like a walk is really part of your creative process.
Yeah. I think it wakes me up.
The start of your creative process.
Yeah, because I'll be thinking about things while I'm walking, unless Max has found a raccoon or something.
So you go out for a walk and then you go to your studio, and sometimes you don't paint, you just fiddle around, wire the painting. When the urge to paint grabs you, what happens then? So you go to your studio, and then what happens?
That's something else I learned from Peter, is you don't wait for the creativity to grab you. You show up first. Even if you don't feel like showing up, you go into the studio, and it might be something like wiring the paintings, or say, if I'm going to do some of that cell painting, I'll paint a canvas black. And then it's, to me, I'm fortunate. It's like, okay, well now I can project the picture on here. I can go that far. And then it's like, and if I'm really still not feeling very creative by then, it's, well, I can paint the sky. The sky will be easy to paint. And then before you know it, you're in there. And
do you do well with deadlines?
Yeah, I do, actually. I do.
That force you into, okay, I have a deadline now. I need to get this painting done. Like you just entered into Paint Ontario for Grand Bend, right? So did that help you push you to paint?
It helped me. The last painting I did, though, did not get accepted. I did get 2. So I feel sometimes it can make you rush and maybe not do your best job. But you're still turning up and you're still turning something out. So I might do a little bit of work on that painting, but then I also realize that it's subjective, right? So maybe it didn't appeal to me. And it's funny that the painting that didn't get accepted by Paint Ontario last year was accepted for a banner in Owen Sound.
Do you have a question for me?
What's the most enjoyable part of running the gallery?
And the worst. Oh, the worst? The best and the worst? The best is being surrounded by art. Being surrounded by art all day, every day, and the connections made with the artists. That I think is the best thing. I'm surrounded by color and everyone's life and energy, and it's all different. And it's been a real honor getting to know the artists, connecting with them, seeing their personalities through the art. I feel like they're with me all the time. And the worst?
Peter's here, don't say his name.
The worst. Just maybe that there's no security. You're only as good as your last painting sale, and you never know when the next person's going to walk through the door and say, I want to buy that painting or three of these paintings. The not knowing if if the last painting you sold is going to be the last painting you ever sell. That's always my fear. Is okay.
No matter how much energy you put into it,
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm there and I'm trying to do the best that I can, and yet it still depends on someone walking through the door. And during this time of COVID-19, I'm not having anyone come through the doors, right? So I'm really having to rely on reaching out via social media, reaching out to clients, and just hoping that couple of these people are going to realize, oh, I'm staring at these big blank walls in my house that I'm stuck in for the next little while. I think I'm going to give Sarah a call and see what she can do to fix that. How can I add life to people's walls? But yeah, the not knowing this, and every time I sell a painting, I always think, oh my God, this is the last painting I'm going to sell.
Do you really?
Yes.
You got to change that. You've got to change that.
I know. And it's the mentality that I've had from the beginning. And I think, okay, I'm 10 years in. Obviously, I'm still going to keep selling art. So why do I have that mentality, right? But it's just stuck in there. Yeah. But I think it also keeps me humble, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I'm working hard, right?
Yes.
And going for it rather than, okay, I have a gallery. Like, where are the people? I've got the art.
I definitely don't just sit and wait. That's not who I am. I don't just sit and wait. So I'll be working on several other things, other projects, all for the gallery, basically. A lot of the stuff, the work I do for the community, at the end of the day, it's still to bring more people to Clarksburg and more people to come and experience the gallery, and hopefully more people will buy the art from me and support the artists that we represent.
I think the videos and what you've been doing show that you're not, just sitting around and waiting. You've shown your creativity and resilience. Like, this is what we're going to do. This happened, but
yeah,
I can make this happen. So
yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of that is thanks to you and the other artists too. This process wouldn't have been possible without you. And
yeah, it's just Sarah sitting there talking to herself.
Yes.
You could have all of us here.
Oh, I am Bonnie Gardiner today. I'm going to speak for her. Yeah, that's a good question, Bonnie. So thank you, Bonnie, for spending this time
Sarah.
offering. Thanks for offering a glimpse into your world.
Oh dear. Yes. Well, I think this has been fun. So okay. Take care. Thanks, Sarah. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.